Welcome to Ballet 101. This first lesson we're going to be talking about how to stand correctly in ballet and how to pull up, because this is imperative to get right before doing any other exercises or any other movements in ballet. If you don't have your positioning correct, you're not going to get the most of the exercises, and worst of all, you could cause an injury. But before we go on, why should you be listening to me, little old me on YouTube, on this little corner of the internet? My name is Carmen, I'm 39 years old, and I am moving my way back to ballet. I went against it for some time, especially with the teaching, but I'm slowly finding myself back to it. Now, you know the saying, if you can't do, you teach? That is why I became a teacher. Okay, I'm kidding. I can do, sort of, a little bit. I lack confidence. But anyway, that's another topic and story on its own. So over 20 years ago, I got my ballet teachers in the Cecchetti method. I'm trained to teach up to advanced 2 level, which is one of the highest levels in the Cecchetti ballet method. I had a studio for a number of years, which grew to quite a big amount. And I'd say about 80% of that studio was a distinction studio. So that is basically my story and why you should be listening to what I say, because I know what I'm talking about when it comes to ballet technique. I personally am a strong technical dancer. Not right now because I have not been dancing like I used to when I was in my early 20s. Yeah, the performance, I never had that. That's why I never went into the dancing aspect, because I lacked the confidence and belief in myself that I could do such a thing. So, which is very silly, but anyway, we'll talk about that in another video. But for today's class, we are focusing on pull-up and how to stand correctly in ballet. I'm actually going to get rid of this bar now. Excuse me for a seckie. So basically, when it comes to standing in ballet, you need to have a lengthening and stretching and pulling feeling all at the same time. What you want to do is you want to feel the sensation of being pulled up through the ceiling, through into the sky, as well as being pulled down into the ground, through the ground. You've always got to think of through when you're thinking of ballet. You can't think in terms of I'm in this room and I'm stretching to this wall. No, you are stretching further than the wall. Okay, it's all a sensation that starts in this section of the body, the midriff hip section. If I'm standing in first position, I am going to be, actually let's start with feet parallel, please. Now, I might use different terminology because I'm Cecchetti trained. There are many other methods out there and they all have slight variations to names of positions and movements, etc. So for today's purposes, we're going to stick with the Cecchetti method, and that is feet parallel for this position. So what you want to do is you want to stand keeping all 10 toes on the floor. So you don't want to be feeling like you're lifting the big toe or baby toe or any of the toes. They are spread out evenly on the floor, as well as that patchy part under the toes. You want that to be flat on the ground as well as your heels. But now it's really important that you don't want to feel like you're digging your heels into the ground, because as soon as you do that, that's when your weight goes back and you start falling backwards. So it's really important to feel the heel on the floor, but you're not pushing into the heel. You're more pushing into the ball of the foot. So at any moment, I can lift my heels up and not fall backwards. Okay, because you've got to think of moving forward and up in ballet mostly. Very seldom do we do backwards movements like this. So in feet parallel, sorry, there was a man walking and staring the whole time while I was talking. It's so embarrassing. For him, it's not for me. So feet parallel. Okay. Now that you've got that sensation of the feet on the floor, feeling all the toes and not the heels digging in, I want you to start thinking of pushing into the balls of the feet, but at the same time now lifting up out of your ankles. So lifting up out of your ankles, and to really activate that, you want to think of bringing it further up into your glutes by wrapping your glutes around, back and down. So it would come like that, like this. Back, down towards the floor. Okay, so glutes in, together and down towards the floor. Now you should feel that your glutes are nicely activated. Your balls of the feet are nicely placed on the floor as well as your toes. You can slightly feel the heel on the floor. And then from there, now you want to start lifting up from the stomach. Okay, so this is where I was talking about that opposition feeling, because you are pulling up, 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 but at the same time your toes, the balls of your feet, are pushing more into the floor. So I want that energy to come from the hips where you're lifting up, 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 and pushing down, 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 down. When you're doing it, it almost feels like you are going to be pushing your bottom down to the floor, if that makes sense. So you're pushing down through the floor with the glutes, and you're lifting up with the core here. So pulling in your tummy nicely. I don't want you to just pull in like I see models doing it, where they pull in this part of their tummy. You want to actually be pulling in the lower tummy muscles over here, the core over here. This is where you really want to be pulling in. So just watch what I'm going to do on sideways on. If I'm just standing normally, and now I'm going to activate everything that I said. The toes, bring to the heels more, lift up, glutes tight, back and down, tummy in, lift up. Do you see that difference? I hope you can see it, because I can feel it. So now it doesn't stop there. Trust me, it doesn't stop there. From there now you want to lift up. Over here, you want to almost imagine, wait a minute. Let me get to. Sorry, I'll be right back with you guys. Okay, so you see I've got these two sticks. What I want you to imagine, sorry, one moment. Let me actually see this. I can show you better what I mean. I'm actually going to break these because they are a little bit too long. Try to do it evenly. Okay, here are the two sticks. In here and in here, and into the ribs over here. So this is where you want that lengthening to really, you really want to feel that lengthening here in the rib cage. You see how I've put that there? So now I've got my sticks in. You don't have to keep yours there, but it's just like a visual representation for you guys. So lifting up nice and tall. Now you're lifting up through the chest, but at the same time, I don't want you to see your gates opening like this. Let me take these sticks out. So if I'm standing, I don't want to see this. Okay, remember glutes, everything pulled in nicely. From here, you've got to close your gates. Okay, so what people generally tend to do is open the chest here, and you want to keep this closed. So a good way to practice that is literally to take a deep breath in and out through your mouth. And as you do that, I want you to close everything. So breathe in and close. Okay, can you feel that? I hope you can. Lengthening nice and tall, closing here. You can still breathe while your ribs are closed, because the point in ballet is you'll never see a dancer's ribs doing this kind of thing, because they've trained themselves through the years to breathe with keeping this closed. There's no other way I can show you or tell you how to do it. The only way you're going to get it right is through practice, and that's why this class is so important for you guys, because I want you to do this the right way, so that later you don't have to think, oh, now I've got to go back and fix that. You already know how to do it. Lengthening, lengthening, closing, closing. Now shoulders are back and down. So when I'm talking about back and down, your shoulder blades over here, I want them to come back. Can you see that? And then squeeze down. And that is the correct back position for your ballet class. So standing feet parallel, remembering all those corrections, lengthening, lengthening, tummy in, glutes back and down, lifting up, remember toothpicks, closing the gate, shoulders back and down. Now, it goes further. You don't want to have your chin poking forward like this or back like this. Because remember, your head is like a third of your body weight. So wherever your head is, that's where your body's going to go. So you've got to literally keep your head above your spine, in line with your spine. So what you're going to do is you're going to drop the chin just a little bit and pull it back. So not like this, but just keeping it parallel. The bottom of your jaw needs to be parallel to the ground, so not up, because if you do this, then again, your weight is in the wrong place. So parallel to the floor. Remember all those corrections and pulling your chin slightly back. And I want you to feel a nice lengthening sensation through the back of the neck here, going up through here, lifting up here. So just underneath where my bun is, that is where the pull is coming from. Okay, so lots of people say up here, but that kind of like makes the head go back. So it's better to think of underneath the bun. Okay, how does that feel? You should be feeling like that's a workout. If you feel like that's a workout, then congrats, you're correct. Now that we've been through all of that, I want you to really come back to this video and go through that often because it's so important, as I was saying before. But now let's move on to the different positions of the feet. So we have feet parallel. You can actually keep your hands on your hips to make sure that you're pulling your tummy in. Because if it feels like there's not much activity happening there, you could have released your stomach muscles. So really pull in, lift up, glutes. Keep your fingers just here inside your hip bones. So this is feet parallel. Then we're going to move into first position. Okay. So when we're standing in first position, I want you to really focus on those toes and the paddy parts of the foot and the heels being on the floor, because you don't want to, if you have this situation happening here where you're rolling forward, that's because your baby toes come off. So you actually need to push equally down on the 3 points of the foot, or almost equally. Remember, the heels have a little bit less. The heels have a little bit less, like a smidge less weight on them than the balls of the feet. But through the big toe, the baby toe, and the heel. Hands on hips. Remember, I want you, because your hands are on your hips, you're not allowed to do this, hey? Remember all our corrections nicely. Keeping it nice and straight. So feet first position, basically your heels are touching. What I used to say to my little ones is that you've got kissing heels. Your heels are kissing each other. So that's the kind of feeling I want you to have here. Now that we're in first position, I really want you to focus on another muscle in the pull-up. And that is these inner thigh muscles over here. So now when you're bringing your glutes down, back, and around, you got to feel almost like someone's coming from this section here and pulling your leg around here from your glute. So imagine someone, sounds terrible, but someone's got their hand through here on your glute, pulling it down, back, and around here. This is how you get the most out of your turnout in first or any of the other positions. Really focusing on that tummy in, back, around, down, through, and out. Does that make sense? Guys, please leave a comment if this is making sense, because sometimes I babble and I ramble because I'm getting excited, and yeah, so hopefully I'm making sense. Please let me know if I'm making sense or if you want me to clarify a few things. Thanks so much. Back, around, down, through, and out. That feeling over there. Now, when you are in this position, you're in the optimal position to be able to do a plie without rolling your ankles or sticking your bum out. We'll go into that more in the next lesson, where we're going to talk about pliés, the first movement in dance. But for now, we're just going to be working on the positioning of keeping the body correct throughout the exercises. So pushing, pushing, pulling, pulling, lifting, lifting, round, round, through, out, out. There you go. Now we're going to move into second position. I think it's in the third lesson, because now we're on how to stand in ballet. The second one will be plie. The third lesson will be a tendre to stretch. So that is where I will be showing you how to do a tendre correctly. But for now, I'm just going to move into second position so that we can get the positions correct first only in this lesson. I just want to focus on the one thing for today, even though there's like 100 things involved in that one thing. So when you're standing in second position, pretty much need to think that there's a foot between your two feet. So that's like the distance. So almost your heels are just under your hip bones. Okay, does it make sense? So you're not going to be too wide and you're not going to be too narrow. About a foot length apart. That is your second position. Lifting up, lifting up. Same thing. Tummy in, glutes back, around, down, through and out. And careful you don't turn your toes out too much. You want your toes to be in line with your knees. Now you'll see, for instance, I don't have 180-degree turnout. Most people don't have 180-degree turnouts. It's just structurally, it's near impossible. So if somebody does have 180-degree turnout, firstly, I'm jealous of you. And secondly, the chances of someone doing it incorrectly is high. So really make sure that if you look down over the side here, that you can see your knees in line with your toes. In fact, I need to turn my toes in a little bit more because my turnout is not as good as it used to be. But it's fine. Even if you're here, I'd rather you do it here, building the strength here, and slowly but surely move out, because then that way you know you're getting strong, you are improving, and you will thank me later. I'm just going to join you guys and bring my turn out a little bit less, okay? Because even here, I can feel this is working, hey? This is working. This is working. All of it is working. Lifting up here. Hands on hips. Can you feel that? We're going to hold it for 5 more seconds. Glutes in, tummy in, glutes back, down, around, through, and out. Lift nice and tall. This guy's walking past again. Come back. Okay, nice and tall. Now we're going to hold that for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, and 5. Let go. You should feel like, even me, I should feel every muscle in my body has been working. So we've done second position. I wonder if we should, I'm not going to show you guys, actually maybe I should show you first. This is a beginner lesson. I'm literally just going to show you guys third position, because this is where you start as a beginner. When you start learning fifth position, you first move into third. So now when you bring your feet into third position, you want to bring your heel basically where the height of your arch is, okay, or where the elastic is on your ballet shoe. So we want to see that little mouse hole there where the mouse lives. I'd say to my little ones, so that the mouse can run in. As soon as you do this, you're going to squash the mouse. So keeping the feet, all 3 points of the foot on the floor, heel in front of the elastic or through in front of the height of your arch. Okay, that is third position. Now again, this is where it becomes a little bit more challenging with the turnout, okay? Even though this is only third position, it's not yet fifth position, you really want to make sure that you're not turning out the toes too much. Remember, again, the whole thing of keeping your toes in line with your knees. Now, if you do that, you shouldn't feel any pain in your knees. If you feel pain in your knees, it's probably because you're turning your toes out too much. So just bring it in a little bit. Toes in line with the knees. Now again, pushing through the toes, through the feet, through the floor, lifting up through the ankles, along the leg, up into the tummy here, back, around, down the glutes, through the legs, and opening up. Then lifting up, lifting up, lifting up. Shoulders back and down. Energy down from the shoulder blades, but lifting up in the front. Hands on hips. Remember pulling up through the back of the head, underneath the bun, high bun. And we're going to hold that for 5 seconds. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 4 3/4, and 5. Again, muscles should feel like they were working. Alrighty, let's do with the left foot in front now. Same thing, remember heel in front of the elastic or the highest point of the arch. Make sure your toes aren't turned out too much. Your knees need to be in line with your toes. Lifting up, pushing down, tummy in. Up. Sorry, there's no water sealing on my camera. I'm so sorry about that. We are back in business. Okay, left foot front. Remember, heel in front of the highest part of the arch, in front of the ribbon. Lifting, pushing through the toes, through the paddy parts of the foot, lifting up through the ankles, through the knees. If your knees are sore, remember your toes are too far turned out. Lifting up, up, tummy in, bringing it back and around, the glutes back, around, down, through and open. Lifting up out of the hips, closing the gates, shoulders back and down, and the chin slightly lower, lifting up through the back of the head. And here we have third position with the left foot in front. We're going to hold for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 4.5, 4.5, 4 3/4, and 5. All right. I can definitely feel that my left leg, the turnout isn't feeling as good as on the right. So you might also feel that there's a variation between the two legs. No worries, we are going to get strong together. Next, we're going into fourth position. Now, there's 2 different variations of fourth position. There's fourth croise and fourth open. We're going to do fourth open first. Now, fourth open is basically from first position. If you bring your feet a foot length ahead and your heels are opposite, just bring your foot forward, a foot length distance between the 2 feet. So if I go like this, you'll see that's a foot distance apart. Now, when you are doing your fourth open, you want to make sure that this heel isn't slipping back. This hip. You don't want this hip to slip back. You want it to be forward, your hips to be square facing in front of you. Again, if your knees are sore, it could be because you're turning your toes out too much, so just bring your toes forward a bit. Today, I really want you to focus on the lifting up and the glutes back and down. So I'm not going to go through the whole process again, but you remember all the corrections of the toes, lifting up, back, down, around, through, out, lifting up, shoulders back, down, hands on hips. Bringing the left hip forward if your left hip is back. We're going to count for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're going to do it with the other foot in front. Left foot in front just to even it out, So 1 foot ahead, heels opposite, lifting up, back, down, around, through and out, lifting up, shoulders back, shoulders down, closing your gates, lifting up underneath the bun. And we're going to hold for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, I've actually felt it on myself, but on the back ankle, you want to also make sure that that foot isn't rolling like this. You want to make sure that those baby toes are staying on the floor, because as soon as you feel the baby toes coming off, to bring that hip forward, that is wrong. You've got to use the lengthening of your muscles and the pulling up to bring your hips forward, to bring your hips level in front of you. Okay, so if your right foot's back, right hip comes forward, keeping your baby toe on the floor. Very important. Then we have fourth croise, which is basically the same as fourth ouvert, but now it'll be opposite fifth. So for the purposes of this, I'm going to go do fifth position with you first, just as a quick look at, and then we'll move into fourth croise. So now fifth position is basically, in third position we had our heel in line with the height of the ankle. Now you're going to have your heel in line with the first metatarsal of your big toe. So you have the one the tip of the toe, the metatarsal, and this is the first one, I think. if you're working from the heel that way. This big one that sticks out here, almost like a bunion, your heel is going to be in line with that. Same thing again, knees are sore. Correct your alignment, please. We don't want any hurt knees. We want to build strength first, and then slowly that turnout will come. So lifting up nice and tall, glutes down, back, through and out, lifting up, closing the gates, shoulders back, down, and pulling up underneath the high bun. And we're going to hold this position for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Now we're going to do with the left foot front. So remember your heel in line with that big metatarsal, where the bunion would be. Lifting. Now it's so easy in 5th position to bend that knee. This knee over here. But what I don't want, a lot of teachers I know will be like, we'll just separate it a little bit to give your knees space. Now for me personally, I've always had sway back legs. That's where your leg swings back like that. But I've improved it a lot over the years. It's kind of come back a bit because I'm not training like I used to. But literally when I was at the height of my dancing at doing advanced too, I could stand in 5th position with my knees dead straight. So it can be trained, and that's what I want you to train your body to do. I don't want you to make leniencies for something like that. So it'll look like it's bent initially a little bit. But you just keep on working on stretching those knees, and I promise you it will get better, okay? Don't try and cop out and take the easy way out to make it comfortable for yourself. Sure, if you're feeling pain, that is a different story. But we want to build the muscles the right way for ballet. So you'll see my knee looks a little bit like it's bent, but that's because I've lost some of that flexibility and strength of holding it in 5th position. So again, heel in front of where the bunion would be, lifting up nice and tall, pushing through the toes, lifting up, tummy in, back, down, around, through, out, tummy in, lift up, close the gate, shoulders back and down, lifting up from the back of the bun, and hold for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Great. Okay. This knee is a bit sore from stretching it there. But that's fine. It's just because I'm a bit weak at the moment. Okay, now we're going to move into 4th position. Basically, remember how I showed you from 1st position how to get to 4th ouvert? It's pretty much the same thing, but now from 5th position. So where your heel is in line with where your bunion would be, your metatarsal, you're literally going to move a foot distance ahead into 4th, and your heel will be opposite that bone still. So that is 4th croise. Now this is more challenging on the body because of this hip wanting to come back. But guys, if your hip is coming back, which it probably is, please don't force it here and then make all the other alignments go out. I would rather you start a little bit out and lifting up properly and building strength there and slowly bringing it forward over time. I would much rather you do that because it is just not worth making mistakes everywhere else where you need to build the strength. I promise you it'll come a lot quicker if you do it the right way than if you do it the wrong way. Remember, if your knees are sore, turn your toes in a little bit. Lift up, toes into the floor. Lifting up, up, back, around, down, through and out. If your left foot is back, bring your left hip forward as much as you can. Fingers on the hips, lifting up, closing gates, tummy in, shoulders back and down, lifting up through the back of the bun, and we're going to hold for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, now we're going to do the very same thing on the other leg. 5th position, and then into 4th position, toes in a bit if your knees are sore. Bring your right hip forward if your right foot is back as much as you can. Pushing through the feet, lifting up through the ankles, through the knees, Up, up, up through the front of the body, back, around, down, round and through and out. Tummy in, close your gates, shoulders back, down, and lift up under the bun. And hold for 5 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so those are the 5 positions of the feet in ballet. And you have learned how to stand correctly in each position. If you have any questions, please comment. Let me know what your questions are. I can respond with like a short or something, or do a full-on video on it. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I know this was like an intense lesson, like very theory driven and that, but it is so important, as I will keep on reiterating to you, that the basics are the most important thing in ballet technique. If you can't get the basics right, you won't get anything else right. This is also great for me personally because I'm working back to ballet, that I'm starting back at beginner. Because even when I was doing my ballet teachers would always say to me, it is so good to do your teachers and advanced 2 exam together, because the teachers brings you back to basics and the advanced 2 just improves because of that. So, and that is what I did. And it really, I saw such a tremendous improvement in my ballet technique in that. So please do this class again. Do it as much as you can. I know it's a lot to take in, which is important why you keep coming back to it. And then I'll see you guys in the next video. It'll more than likely be the pliés, but I might decide to do positions of the arms first. We'll see when it comes out. But I hope you guys have a lovely week wherever you find yourselves. Be blessed. Thanks for tuning in. Love you lots. And I'll see you next time.